All right, we're live. We're live. We're live. I just want to say hello and welcome to anyone and everyone that's out there. Oh, we got a few people logging in. So just want to say happy Sunday and happy last day of Older Americans Month. And also the last day of my celebration, which is Creative Sparks Turns 2. And just want to say, yeah, my book. Woo-hoo. And for those who don't know me, I'm Sharon Burton with Spark Your Creative Coaching. I am an artist, teacher artist. It's Teacher Artist Awareness Month, Appreciation Month, rather, and a creativity coach and author. And so this month I've been celebrating 2 years of my book. I can't believe I've been an author for 2 years, and also celebrating Older Americans Month. And I think this is the second year I've done that. And as a coach, I work closely with artists that are at midlife and older. As a teacher artist, as a coach, and an advocate for older Americans and creativity, creative aging, and work with local organizations in the area in creative aging. And as the creative aging movement is continuing, I wanted to highlight someone that really has inspired me personally as an artist. And I've gotten to know in the last 2 years. And I'm so excited that she agreed to do this today. I think it's important to not only for me as a creativity coach or whatever, to keep saying, oh, it's never too late to do these things, but to actually bring someone that has done it, who has started at a time that a lot of people may not think of as an ideal time to do art and to get into a creative practice. And Alma Roberts is that person. This woman, I've been watching her for the last couple of years, and I'm just like in awe. Um, I know a lot of artists through the years in this area that have been doing some really wonderful things. And, you know, she's bad. She's
Oh
the
my
woman. Hey, Catrice, thanks for joining us. Catrice is a member of Tribe 55. Let me tell you a little bit about how I've known uh, Alma, and then we're going to talk a little bit about her journey as an artist. I had the opportunity to actually meet Alma through a artistic collaborative of artists and literary artists called Tribe 55. And you might have plus, Tribe 55 plus. I always have
Mhm.
to remember that because I was 55 when I joined. And uh, this is a collaborative that is based in Maryland, primarily in the Baltimore area, but is open to African American women that are 55 years of age and older. And it is a group of women that are not only talented but have so much
Mhm.
energy, so many great ideals, and we work together to put on exhibitions, literary projects, you name it, to uh, the area that we call the DMV, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, Greater Baltimore area. We've done, I think it was three or four exhibitions now. We're
Mhm.
moving so fast, I can't remember. We've done some exhibitions. We're planning an awesome 2027 year coming up, 26, 27. And it is one of the beauty of it is that not only are we working together to put art and literature and poetry and you name it out there, but we are in the process of actually really promoting the fact that older African American women have something to say. And we are at this point of our lives where we want to share who we are and inspire others. And that's exactly what we're doing. So I met Alma as a part of that group. And I started watching her and I was like, whoa, I mean, this woman was like showing art at all these big time galleries, places. And I was like, no, wait a minute here. And, but the thing that I found to be so um, inspiring for me is the fact that she just started not too long ago, right?
Hmm.
And so we're going to hear more from her about her work. And if you're in the DC, Maryland area, I really suggest that you check her out and we'll share more about how you can be in, to learn more about her. So I just want to officially greet you to this creative conversation, Alma. Thank you for agreeing to do this with me and, really shine your light.
Thank you for this opportunity.
First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
a little bit about your journey, and then I have a few questions I'd like to ask just as a follow up.
Sure, sure. There are a host of people out there that probably know me more as well, increasingly the other side of me is getting well known, but a healthcare executive for 49 years. That's what I did. Ran departments in hospital systems and large HMOs and small HMOs and all of that. And as you rightfully pointed out, at the ripe old age of 62, I had an intervention and I was instructed to start painting. And that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. And for the first few years of those, I didn't even dare say I was an artist. I kept, and I kept the paintings that were very sacred and important to me, neatly displayed in my closets throughout my house. And so, yeah, that's the story. I became a mother, adoptive mother, at the age of 45. I used to be a literary artist for the early part of my years, and into my late 30s. And then I adopted my son, and didn't do anything artistic other than collect the art. I devoted myself to raising him and giving him the important experiences that I thought he needed. And
Awesome.
he's wonderful.
I bet he is. So, what inspired you? You said that you started creating a little bit and kind of kept it on the low,
Yeah.
and was raising a child and kind of doing your thing. What inspired you to seriously pursue your creative practice to the point that you are now? You're showing in a lot of high end kinds of galleries and doing some
Mhm.
interesting shows. I've been watching you with Black Art Today.
Yes.
Uh, I've
Good
been very
pivotal
impressed
point.
with that group. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
actually I got to know a little bit about them through you.
Okay.
How
They,
did you
they,
get from
hey,
that point to?
yeah. So when I say I had an intervention, I will start by saying my father was a left-handed portraitist of some significance in terms of the quality of his creativity. I never saw his work. I
Mhm.
was born his ninth child, and he stopped painting. Didn't just stopped. He threw out all his art supplies, and I think and any portraits he had left. And so I grew up hearing that story all
Mhm.
of my life, and wishing I could have seen some of his work. But been a art collector, as I said, all of my life. And then at the age of 62, I literally, I believe it was my father, had a visitation for about
Hmm.
a 2 week period. I would wake up to somebody telling me to paint with my left hand. I'm certain he visited me. Uh, pick up a paintbrush and paint with your left hand.
Hmm.
And over and over and over for 2 weeks. You can imagine how befuddled I was. And well, I'm not left handed, I'm right handed. I don't paint, that kind of stuff. Until a friend said, just do it, Roberts, just do it. And I started, do, do, do. Tiny little painting like that was the first one. And then 2015, I switched to my right hand. And uh, 600 paintings later, here I am. And showing at least 12 to 15 times a year in exhibits, solo and group, throughout the DMV at least, with a dedicated group of collectors that I'm so happy that they find some joy in my work. So
You know,
that's the short version.
that's the short version. Um, I think that there's so much to learn about that. There's so many of us who are striving to have a group of collectors that just love your work. And every time I see your feed, or some of the other different feeds, some of the galleries and different places you're doing stuff at, I'm like, whoa, she's really doing it. Doing it. Okay. Did you ever get a sense of fear
Mm,
or self doubt? I mean, you were this high end executive, and then you changed and you did
mhm,
some literary stuff, and
mhm,
then you're doing all this stuff. But getting your art out there. Did you have some trepidation? Like how did you feel about when you first decided to display your art professionally as in an exhibition, for example? What
Well,
was
that was done with me kicking and screaming, not quite whimpering, more like it. So, as I said, I was painting at the instruction of whoever that was, and I'm going to say my father. And they were fulfilling my pledge to him. It was also allowing me to, sort of put my on canvas my points of view. But I was just as happy to put them in the closet, and that was the end of it for me. But the same a person who said, Roberts, what do you got to lose, gets going, and went out and bought me canvases, paints, easels, and all that stuff to get me going. She and some of the folks who are listening will know Kevin Brown here in Baltimore. He's restaurateur and art supporter. She and Kevin Brown started badgering me in a good way about showing my work. They Kevin had bought some paintings from me, even though I was trying to. Whenever I sell a painting, that even now I'm saying, please don't yes buy it, but no, don't buy it. So he had a couple, and they got together and they thought I should start showing my work, and I was mortified. These were just soulful renditions of everything I was thinking and feeling, and it was like so vulnerable. And I certainly didn't consider myself an artist. But my first show was at Kevin's restaurant, Nancy by Snack on North End Charles, and from that on, it went. That was it. Took off, and I had to just get used to it. It's only recently, I'm gonna say in the last 4 years, that I can call myself an artist. There was a period right after I got started, in a year or two afterwards, I said, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm this is not looking like anything. So let me keep them hidden. They're good for me. And so yes, doubt, and then trepidation and all of that was in the early years, and still a little bit now.
So when you said still a little bit now, what do you do to kind of move past that?
Hmm.
Because sometimes we let it take over.
Yes.
I know for me, I have, it's taken me a while to the point where I was able to start showing my work. And
Yeah.
I started in my late 30s, so
Hmm. Hmm.
which still is relatively late when you think traditionally of how artists, get out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But what do you do? How do you move past that?
Hmm. So I've always been a collector of art all of my adult life. I had a group of artists, Joyce Scott and Oletha Devane, all those folks we know. I sort of was, I sort of hung out with them already. And I always was going to openings and museums. Those became classrooms almost for me in this new phase where I was a practicing artist, not just a collector and a viewer of art. So I would go and I would look at art in a very, very different way. I would know some of the techniques, which I had wouldn't have known previous to me practicing, uh, and um, and then becoming a part of some artist group like Black Art Today. Um, we are a cohort of about 30 or so, 40 Black artists, and very sharing and collaborative. And so all along, I consider myself a lifetime term lifelong learner. And so I just YouTubed, uh, Facebooked, whatever you can go on to get something. And then I improvised. First, for mediums, I didn't know you could go to the store and buy golden whatever. I would go out in the yard and get leaves and dirt and mix it with paint and stuff. So I became experimental as well. And then the more I read and the more I hung out and the more I viewed, the more I learned
Uh,
and continuing to learn, by the way.
and that, it's funny. I was in a conversation earlier today, and somebody said, "Oh, I was talking about a training that I was getting ready to do," and somebody said, "Well, you've been through all that," and I'm like, "Yeah, but you know what? We're always learning,
Always.
and life and the times change, and if
Mm-hmm.
you're not in, if you're not open to being teachable
Yes.
or coachable,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you may find yourself a little behind, thinking you
Mm-hmm.
know it all, right?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Stacy Cruz has a couple questions that I thought that's kind of related to this, so I'm going to repeat them to you. One is, she said, "Did you take any painting classes, and do you consider yourself self-taught?" And her follow-up question is, "Why abstract painting?"
Mm-hmm. I consider myself definitely self-taught. I don't have any degrees. If I've had a class related to my art, it's basically been about the practice of art, how to get into galleries, pricing, that kind of stuff. None of the technical skills. As I told you, visiting museums and looking, and then YouTube's. That's been my classroom, so to speak, and learning from just in conversation with other artists. And her other question was, what was the other one besides self-taught?
Why abstract painting?
Well, when I first started, I did some headless bodies and bodiless heads, and and they even those were in sort of abstract form, so to speak. They weren't total bodies or total heads, and so it just came. That's what came out when I stepped to the canvas, and so that's what I've pursued and working on continuing to grow. Hmm.
Thanks for answering those questions. And I think my follow-up is, or just wanted to piggyback off of something you said. You like going to museums and gallery
Mhm.
shows and that
Mhm.
sort of thing. And um, there's a couple things with that. One is, are you familiar with Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way?
Mm-mm. No, I'm not. Mhm.
It's a book. It's been out for about 30 years now. and it's a book about how to find your creativity, how to find your creative muscle. And it's a book that helped me kind of get going on my own art journey.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things she talks about is artist dates, and
Artist what?
what they call artist dates.
Artist
Yes. And that's when you go by yourself to get inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of times people go with other folks, but she encourages you to go by yourself because you're not influenced by anyone. You
Mm-hmm.
just, and that is something that I recommend, and I think you underscored it by going to, particularly as a visual artist, going to museums and cultural centers and that sort of thing by myself. And that's something I do as much as I can. They really
Mm-hmm.
encourage you to do it at least once a week, but life. But I'll go to a gallery show or a museum, or an art center and check out the art. And I actually prefer to do that outside of, even though I love reception, especially if I know the artist, but I like to do it, but without receptions or anything, so I can really
Mm-hmm.
make it work. And
Mm-hmm.
I become very inspired that way. And you mentioned that as part of the way that you have, continued to be inspired. The
Mm-hmm.
other thing
Mm-hmm.
that's coming out too is there's studies that says that it's actually healthy for us to do that type of thing. It used to be just, oh, you can be inspired, but there's a whole, there's studies and research now that backs up the fact how healthy it is for us to get out and
Yep.
to
Yep.
do those types of things. And the whole thing of social prescribing, which I'm really learning a lot more about. But I think, it's just interesting how you and I are really into that kind of getting
Right.
out
Right.
and see the shows and take it in, because I've
And,
learned so
and
much.
I always have gone been attending openings and stuff. And when I got my son, I can remember his first show was Norman Rockwell. We were living in suburban Atlanta, and
Mm,
I took him at the age of 4 years old, because I believe that viewing art brings learning, brings relaxation, stress relief, and
yeah,
an understanding of your culture. Um,
most definitely.
yeah.
Preach,
So
my friend, preach.
yes. So I've done that with him, and he now takes my grandchildren, and so it's part of passing on our legacy.
Most definitely.
Hmm.
I have a question from another Tribe 55 member.
Oh, good.
Plus,
My tribes folks are here. Hi,
yes,
everybody.
they are. That's what them folks will support you.
I'm telling you.
um, Denise Leftwich, asked, "Did you ever experience imposter syndrome?" Good question.
Did I not make that clear that it's just about a couple of years ago that I could, without taking a really big gulp, that I could call myself an artist, because I felt, I've known, like Joyce Scott. She's been a friend for decades.
Yeah,
These people trained. They've been painting for years and years, and their work is exceptional. And here I am, Johnny come lately. And yes, I love one of my paintings, but hey, somebody might look at them and say, "Well, she's got a little bit of work to do." And so, yes, I have had imposter syndrome until very, very recently, and still an occasion when it, can come into play. So,
awesome.
yes, Denise.
And then I have a message here from Constance Maddox.
Uh-huh.
Hey, she says, "Hello, Sharon and Alma. So great to see the both of you experience this chat. And so
Oh,
great
tell
to
us
have
hi.
you with us. Been thinking about you."
Good, good.
Um, my next question is, how do you think that your life experience, I know you were in corporate America, and before we started today, we were talking about where we lived, and we've actually have a couple places in common. And the traveling and
Yeah.
moving around.
Mhm.
How would you say that your life experience has influenced your creative life? Whether it's subject matter, whether everything from color to, what comes up. How do because some people, I think, and the reason I'm asking is that I think sometimes when people who engage in a creative life older don't underestimate how their life experience actually
Mhm.
influences what they do,
Mhm.
even if it's
Mhm.
totally different. Even if you were an accountant and you were not a creative person,
That's right. That's
how
right.
would you say that that influenced you?
Tremendously. It is really what I draw on for 90% of what I put on canvas or other surfaces. It incorporated my work. Let me say, was born into a family of activism. And so you will see me commenting on the Black experience in this country and other political and environmental issues throughout my work, commenting on things in life I can't explain, but they are part of our culture. I'm definitely a storyteller. I was a literary artist for many many years, and believe in the power of words to translate our culture, our learning, and all of that. And for sure, I am. You alluded to me being an entrepreneur and an executive. All of those skills that I learned in terms of running a corporation feed into the business side of my art, how to promote, how to price, all of that, doing market surveys about what's trending, and places that the galleries that have reputations for treating artists the right way, and all of that kind of stuff. All of that has fed into how my practice is carried out.
Again, I think it's so important because people just feel that you're either one or the other, and that there there is there your life feeds into what you do. And I think sometimes we don't realize that, us moving through life and moving through all these different iterations of ourselves
Hmm.
does, accumulate to this art, this creative side of us.
Yes,
A lot of times
absolutely.
it leads us to it, depending
Hmm.
on what it is.
Hmm.
Patrice has a question. Um, she says, Alma, the world can be a challenge to be welcome. The art world can be a challenge, rather, to be welcome for showing sometimes as a solo artist, which is true.
Oh.
How did you foray into showing at galleries? Did you acquire an agent? Was it word of mouth recommendations? What did that part of your path look like, and how did it evolve?
So I do not have an agent. Two things. The network I experienced that I had developed over the years of just really sort of being on the art scene, but not not a practicing artist. But just having really close relationships with artists and gallerists, and serving on the boards of arts organizations. I just rolled off of the Reginald Lewis. I was on the Public Art Commission. So being present in those arenas and making contacts, and so all of that has facilitated um, my being able to be involved. And let me not go another step without saying, in 2022, I had the good fortune to be introduced to Black Art Today Foundation, and they have accelerated my the visibility of my art. I have at least 10 to 12 exhibits that I submit my work like everybody else, and it gets chosen. But their shows are well attended. They are beautifully curated, and they are increasingly in very very visible high end uh, exhibit spaces. And so that type of networking and connection has helped catapult me. And then the final piece is where I have shown, I have garnered the attention of some significant collectors, and nothing were better than having a high end collector telling another high end collector about your work to accelerate your visibility and credibility as an artist.
And I can piggyback off of what Alma said too. One of the things that I did a few years back, I was in a program with New York University, their art administration certification program.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we did was actually go to a lot of high end galleries and talk to gallery owners and gallerists. And how one of the questions was, how did they get their artists?
Mm-hmm.
And as Alma said, with the networking, they were saying 90% of the artists that they had in their collection that they showed were friends of other artists that were already a part of the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually seemed to have been recommended, as a way to get in, than to do the cold calls, where you used to take your portfolio and, hi, my name is so and so, I'm an artist, I think you should look at my work. And still there's some gallerists that still do that, but
Mm-hmm.
the majority was based on relationships. And so
Basic relationships. Mm-hmm.
what Alma was saying is true. Being on boards, being a really an integral part of the art community is really important. I served on a couple boards, and when I was really active on the curating side, as well as not so much of my art, but just on the curating and working with collectors a little bit. For a while in the DC area. And you do get exposed
Yes.
to
Yes.
some really good, not only the collectors, but the different level of galleries, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit, Alma, about the Black art today and what foundation
Absolutely.
and what is that about and how do you get involved with that? I'm
Yeah.
curious myself.
Yeah. Black Art Today is a 501c3. It's Black Art Today Foundation. And their mission is to present and promote um, artists, visual artists across the diaspora, black and brown are artists, and they're about 5 between 5 and 9 years old. I forget. I would say closer to 5 years old. And they are based in Maryland, but they have artists globally, and they are meticulous in how they select and nurture the artists in their cohort. They have cohort artists who are regularly invited to their calls, and then they have affiliated artists who are artists who um, uh, they can continue to be considered. Their fees that are differentiate us and that type of thing. But they curate some beautiful exhibits throughout the DMV. We had one open yesterday uh, in um, in suburban Maryland. That was just spectacular. I can't say enough about them. They bring business acumen, compassion, and just artistic capabilities.
Sounds like an organization that is really about not only the collector, but also, really helping the artist
They,
succeed.
I would say they that nurturing the artist is at their core,
Okay, that's cool.
making sure the artist is able to progress in their practice and
Hmm.
to present themselves with. the best way. They screen who they take now
Yeah.
very meticulously, and they have a wide range of types of art that artists that they present.
Okay. And
Mhm.
Catrice, thank you for putting the website. It's
Mhm.
blackarttoday.org if
Yes.
people are interested in learning more about them.
Hmm.
They primarily, again, work with artists, not only in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, but also worldwide. And they do a lot of their exhibitions in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area.
Right.
And Alma is in a show right down the street from me. I was trying so hard to get over there, but I am going over there this week because I got to see the show. I know a few people outside of Alma that's in there, and I really wanted to see everybody yesterday, but couldn't get over there. Okay,
It is a superb show. I was blown away. Hmm.
I am excited about it, and they have the best graphics too.
They
Flyers. They do a
Everything
good job.
is done so
Very tight. Yeah.
professionally, very professionally. And it is a pleasure to. I was called to one show when I wasn't a cohort member, my
Mhm.
first show with them, and I used my business acumen to evaluate them. And
Ah,
so
ah.
when I saw the meticulous way they called us, they called for the art, they curated the art, all of that, I said, okay, this is let me look a little closer at these folks. And I was delighted that they liked my work because I sure liked them.
All
And
right.
it's the same way with Tribe 55. And this brings Tribe 55 brings my literary side and my visual side together. So I'm delighted about that. Those two organizations make me very happy
I'm very impressed
and
with.
at home.
Yes, I'm very impressed with Try 55 Plus, and they bring both of my sides because I've done a lot of the visual art,
Hmm.
but I am still kind of a, I don't know if I'd be a, yeah, I'm still working through the whole poetry piece because that came later after the art, you know,
And
that.
mine was just the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're the opposite, right?
Hmm.
So I started poetry around 2018,
Hmm.
and I'm just getting back to writing more, and I'm doing more open mics, which we talk about fear and imposter syndrome right there for me. I'll do art all day long, but to get in front of people and to share my work, and I was talking to Stacy Cruz, who's one of the co-founders, about an upcoming thing that Try 55 is doing. Plus, we're going to be doing some spoken word, and I'm putting myself out there. And it's scary, it's weird. You feel kind of whatever, but every time I do it, though, people are like, "Whoa, that's good," and I'm like, "Really?" You know,
I know, I know your feeling. I know the feeling.
and I think it's that imposter syndrome thing too,
Yeah.
because I'm a self-taught artist
Hmm.
and a self-taught poet, and we come from, generations where, that education was big. You
Yeah.
had to be gone to art school, or you had to had a degree in English or in some kind of literary thing. And, and not falling into your natural passion and your natural talent for these things,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And giving us permission to do that. And that's what my book Creative Sparks was about, was really about, just ignoring all of the shoulda, all the stuff that society tells us that makes us whatever we are, and actually going through with it.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I have two more questions from Catrice, and then I'm going to close with one more
Mhm.
question. Okay.
Okay.
Um, yes, late bloomers unite. Yes, yes. Lisa said, yes, girl. Boomers and us boomers. Well, I'm a Gen X, but Gen X and boomers, we're doing our thing. All right. Catrice has two questions. She says, "What does your artist self care look like between being immersed in creating pieces?" And her second question is, what do you see for the future? What do you see as the future for Black art? And what she means is like genres, creative trends, vision,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that. So
So
the first
the
question again
first
is,
question is how is my care? What is how I care for myself? I didn't.
yeah, what does your self care look like between being immersed in the creative in creating pieces?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, as we all know, visual or literary or whatever, when you're engaged in your art, the making of your art, there is a piece, and there is a fulfillment that is not like anything else I experience. But I believe in getting my rest. So I try to make myself go to bed at a reasonable hour. Now, does that mean I'm not up at 2 o'clock or three? Uh, uh, if an idea hits me, but at least I've gone to bed, and I follow a routine for going to bed and to face all that stuff, um, and um, and really just taking time to uh, eat properly, regulate my diet, and then just giving myself time to think about my practice, to think about a particular work I'm working on, as I'm working on it. So those are the main things that I really try to incorporate on a regular basis. And take a vacation now and then, which I'm just happy to come back from one.
Yes. And then the second question is, what do you see as the future for Black art? What do you see as maybe creative trends or
Mm-hmm.
art modalities,
Yeah,
genres?
yeah. Well, I'm going to say is certainly exploding. Attention to Black art is exploding in places that we would have been marginalized. Galleries and office spaces and all the nuances of accelerating art. And we are collaborating. The new thing that I see, that I'm engaged in, is collaborating on works of art with other artists, and it's exciting because I usually collaborate with a realist, or figurative, or whatever, things that you can recognize. And the pieces that I've done so far with four different spectacular artists have just been stunning. And so I hear other artists doing that. And so I think that has some sea legs, for sort of growing a little bit more. But I think the big thing is that collectors, Black collectors, are increasing in number. Uh, they're increasing in broadening the type of art that they look at, and that particularly is important to me because folks have collected lots of realism, and they're looking more and more at abstraction. Abstraction is a growing trend in mainstream galleries and museums as well. And so those are the things that I think are continuing to gain some momentum and will be a part of our near future.
I like that. I've noticed African American and African art is
Mm-hmm.
becoming more mainstreamed and in demand. And I'm curious because I haven't been as in touch with I as I have in the past about the collectors in this area, because this has always been an interesting area. There's a lot of money here, a lot of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
African Americans that have means, but they weren't always large art collectors. But
That's
I'm
right.
sensing that that's changing finally.
Yes.
Would you
And
say?
absolutely. My dear friend and colleague Beverly Carter and I, in 22, began a salon, Directors and Collectors Art Salon. We purposefully didn't make it artists, the directors and collectors, because we wanted to get the folks that can help artists together to
Mhm.
collaborate, to talk about issues, to talk about what their needs are, and so that meets about 4 times a year, and it has a wonderful membership, and so there is a growing interest in Black art, and collectors view it as an aesthetic for their home, but also a wealth creation strategy.
Yes, and it's not enough talk about that, I
Mhm.
don't think. That's something I've always tried to help people in the past. I was an art consultant at one point. Uh,
Mhm.
I've had all kinds of different things. But that's one of the things I used to talk about was, how to select art and also artists that are moving based on their past history and, collectors and where their work ended up and
Mhm.
and even me, I've collected quite a few pieces, and I was just saying to myself, I need to get my collection back up to par. I've been a little terrible with that lately. All right.
Well,
Last,
there's a good trend that goes on among artists, and we swap with each other. So
yeah. So maybe
I tend to want to buy. I want to have contemporary artists. You
me
know,
too.
that's what I can afford.
Yeah, you and me both, right?
Yeah,
But I think that I always used to tell people, and I believe in, living life to the fullest, but I also say, if you want to dump X amount of money over here for this, that's not going to appreciate, you know, you may want to consider art as part of your,
absolutely.
and I've been pretty fortunate. I have a couple pieces of some artists that have actually doing a lot. Are you familiar with Victor Epic? Epic.
Epworth, who Victor?
Let's see, he's African. Epuk.
I don't know.
You should know. Yeah, he's really good. A lot of his work is now in museums.
I
And
may have seen the work. Sometimes I know the work more
before
before
you see the
art.
person,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I got a piece of his years ago, not thinking that he was going to do well. And the other thing that people may want to consider is art books, like the
Yes.
catalogs for exhibitions that are particularly at museums. Yes. And that's a kind of a low point that people can get into because
Yes.
those books can appreciate as well. I
Mhm.
have a couple of them I didn't know until I saw a webinar about one of the books. And I was like, what? And they were saying how much that costs now in the market. And I had the first printing and didn't realize it. So there's a lot of ways you can kind of, enter uh,
Absolutely.
based.
I'm working on my book on my journey
Oh, good.
called
Good.
Other Than Words. Hopefully out this time next year.
Oh, all right. All right. Y'all heard it here first. You heard it here first. Okay, my last question.
Okay.
What advice would you give people at midlife and older who are afraid to begin their creative journey because they do not feel they're talented enough, or do they feel it's too late, or any other to whatever? What would
Mhm.
you say to them if they are sitting here watching?
Well, if you're not active in something that you feel strongly about, um, it would be a shame because you're not living to your fullest. And I have always been active in something, and passionate about some things. I've been always passionate about my family and my child, my child, and about art in a different kind of way until I started to produce it. Um, and I always vowed to be an activist until my eyes closed. And now I have this wonderful, rewarding venture that I think it's taken years off of my life. I tell people I'm 78, and invariably they say, Well, you don't look it. And I'm gonna give credit to, doing something I truly love. At the 49th year of my healthcare career, I decided to retire, to do this full time until my eyes shut. And the people tried to keep me. They said, "Don't you want to make 50 years?" I said, "I don't know whether I got a 50th year, but
Oh,
if I do, it's going to be making art." And it's the best decision I ever made. It's the best decision. I feel like I'm honoring my father, and I'm really, really soothing my soul.
oh, oh, that is so beautiful.
So
And
that's the advice I would get. If there's something you've been putting off, because I was engaged with people on vacation, young people, when they would, they ask me what I'm doing. So I tell them the same thing. I said, if there's something you've been putting off, go do it.
yes,
Go do it. Go do it. You never promise tomorrow.
you're not.
No,
Tomorrow is not promised.
that's right.
I I just want to thank you. My good friend George Koch says, "Congratulations, enjoyed the conversation." He's been pretty big in the art community here in the DC area. It's good to see him.
Wonderful.
He actually was part of Artomatic. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Yes. Good
yeah,
for thank you
that was
for
involved with.
being here.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to thank you, Alma, for helping me close out this month of celebrating Creative Sparks and also Older Americans Month. I think you have really been such an exemplary example of what I strive to um, convey in my book and what I do as a coach and a teaching artist to really encourage people at any age to do their thing creatively. That's not too late. I mean, Alma is like a shining star. That's an great example of what all of us strive for at any age for that matter. But I want to thank you. And I,
And I want to thank you for the work that you just explained, the work that you were doing.
oh,
Thank you. I thank Tribe 55
yes,
and Black Art Today for really sort of pushing us forward. And anything I can do to ever help you, let me know.
thank you, Alma.
Thank
Thank you all for that are here today, and stay tuned. I put my podcast on hiatus for a while, but I'm thinking of really bringing back these kinds of conversations. So let's see how things unfold. But anyway, have a great weekend, the rest of your weekend, and take care and always stay creative. If you need to get more information about me, by the way, sparkyourcreative.com is where you need to start. And Alma, share your website too if people want to learn more about you.
www.almaroberts.com.
All right.
All one word, Alma Roberts. Hmm.
Take
And I'm
care.
on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, she is. And she's quite active at that. All right. Thank y'all. And take care and stay creative.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.